Welcome to the Tattered cover. Thank you very, very, very much for coming out in this cold March weather in Denver to see our wonderful speakers tonight. Thank you for supporting our local bookstore. We are thrilled that you're here. We're going to have a really, really nice evening, and I know you know why we're here, but I'm going to say it anyway. Gary Reilly's work is being presented by Jeffrey Deaver and Mark Stevens, and they may have another friend with them, and I will let them do the introduction and speaking, and after the presentation, this will be the area that autographs happen, and we have books on a wooden shelving unit back there that you can either purchase before or after. That's totally okay after the signing, and we just want you to have a very, very good time. We're so happy you're here, and let's start our wonderful, wonderful evening.
Thank you all. Thanks for coming out, everybody. First of all, I just wanted to point out that there are 1,700 companies in the country that own a combined 2,300 independent bookstores. And right now you're in one of the premier independent bookstores in the country. I forgot my glasses. 2,300. So and that's actually up. Things are improved for independent bookstores a little bit, and that's very exciting. And we cannot, the Running Meter Press, the little company that's been publishing Gary's books, we cannot thank Tattered Cover enough for all their support. There's a shelf upstairs. If you go upstairs on the way out, there's a whole shelf that's really dedicated to Gary, and it's been very well maintained and supplied and stocked with Gary's books for a long, long time. And that is a wonderful, wonderful thing that they've done. And I believe it's also because Gary's books continue to sell. So that's fantastic. I want to do a few thank yous. Then I'm going to introduce Jeff Deaver. We're also going to have a reading from Dennis Bergfeld after Jeff. I'm going to make a few little closing comments, questions, and then we'll sign some books. But because, alas, Gary is not here, we have to come up with some sort of show, so that's the show. So a few thank yous, of course, to my friend Mike Keefe, who is decided to move to Mexico and lives now in San Miguel de Allende. And when I said, Mike, are you making any last minute changes into your plans, and might you be here tonight, or it was yesterday, tomorrow night, he replied in all Spanish and, whatever. Basically, he's having fun, so he won't be here, and he wished us all well. Mike's wife, Anita Austin, has done amazing work on the webpage and keeps it up to date and is a huge help in everything we do. I wanted to thank Jody, my wife, for all the incredible work on the graphic design of this particular book. The interior, which takes a lot of work, and all the design with the wonderful cover. And by the way, on the way over tonight, Jeff Deaver pulls out the cover and says, "This is the coolest cover." And I said, "Yeah, my wife did that." Also want to shout out to Nathan Lowell, who's not here tonight, I don't think, but does a huge help, very quietly, behind the scenes, formats our ebooks and does it without any request for compensation whatsoever. Huge, huge help. And this thank you goes out to Karen Haverkamp, who lives in Toronto and is just an unbelievable editor. I believe in my heart that she looks at a sentence, reads it, thinks about it, takes about a week off, comes back to the sentence and says, "What do you think about maybe this?" And then she goes to the next sentence. I mean, that's the kind of care and depth and thought that she puts into everything she does. She is by far the most meticulous, thoughtful editor I've ever worked with, to a depth you just can't begin to believe, in terms of making sure that things at the beginning of the book and the end of the book all sync up. She'll send you a style sheet that's 4 or 5 pages long, and again, no compensation for Gary's books. She just completely believes in it. I've told her story before about how she found out about Gary. She was buying books for the Princeton University Library. She recognized the Running Meter Press name as a new name she had never heard before, and she said to herself, who is this Running Meter Press? She ordered some of Gary's books, and she said, Gary Reilly is now my favorite writer, and she started putting Gary's books in the Princeton University Library because she just loved them, and this was a hand-picked kind of situation for that particular library in Princeton, and she and I become friends. I was in Toronto at a Mystery Writers Conference, BoucherCon, last October, and we had a wonderful lunch together. She is amazing. Thank you, Karen. Thanks to Sherry Peterson and all the extended family. You guys are fantastic. The Gary Reilly brothers and sisters and extended family for coming in from Rapid City, from San Francisco, from Nebraska, from anywhere you happen to be to support.
From Princeton.
Princeton, New Jersey?
Yes.
Also, okay, all right. There's 2 Princeton references in the course of 2 minutes. That's fantastic. Thank you all for coming in and making the effort. It really means a lot to us to keep this going, and it has been quite the fun journey. Just in case some of you don't know who are in the room and may not say, well, you know, Circumstantial Man, where's Gary Reilly? And I just wanted to just make sure we all know the quick story that I'm a mystery writer. I met Gary in 2004. Mike, my partner who I mentioned before, who moved to Mexico, had known Gary from way back in the 70s. They met at CU Denver, I believe. CU Denver was at Metro, Sherry. CU Denver. And so Mike had known Gary a lot longer than me, but when I met Mike at the Post, Mike was the editorial cartoonist at the Denver Post, I was a reporter. Mike knew I loved fiction. Mike said, you've got to meet my friend Gary Reilly. Met Gary Reilly in 2004, and I literally had never met anybody who was as entranced, fixated, committed to fiction as Gary. But Gary was never published in his lifetime, and unfortunately passed away in 2011 and left behind 25 novels in beautiful, beautiful shape. So we are tonight at number 12 of the unpublished books that he left behind. We started publishing them in 2012, and just a quick synopsis is there are 8 books in the Asphalt Warrior series, which is a very, very, very amusing series about a Denver taxi cab driver, and so far 3 books in his well, there's only 3 books, and we published all 3 in the Vietnam series that are based on Gary's life and experiences before, during, and after the Vietnam War. So tonight is a little bit of a departure, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, with publishing a standalone thriller. But tonight is really, really exciting for lots of reasons. In the past, it's been me kind of touting Gary, and we've been fortunate to get some excellent reviews in the past. And I got a little shameless this time. I got a little shameless because I'm a mystery writer, and for the first time we were publishing a mystery thriller suspense. I don't know where you're going to categorize this one. You can categorize it anywhere you want to. And I started tapping some of my friends. And I'm thrilled tonight to have Jeff Deaver here tonight to talk a little bit about Gary. And so I'm going to introduce Jeff, but first let me tell you a quick story, because this is all pretty recent. I am lucky enough to be the president of Rocky Mountain Mystery Writers of America, and which is a group of about 120 of us. We're a chapter of the National Mystery Writers of America, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, Utah, and New Mexico. And it's a great group, and the national group is fantastic as well. And as the president of RMMWA, Rocky Mountain Mystery Writers of America, I'm on the national board. I've gotten to meet some wonderful writers, and I get to go to national meetings, including they send me back to one in New York once a year in January, and they send you back to the Edgar Awards, which are in April, coming up in a couple weeks. And so I was at the meeting in January, and I had draft advanced reader copies of The Circumstantial Man. We were in a meeting, day-long meeting, and there goes Jeff Deaver out of the room, and I said, I'm going to follow that guy. I'm going to track him down, and I just have a big net, and I'm going to throw the net over his head, and no. He was standing by the elevator. It took me 90 seconds, I think, maybe 2 minutes to explain it. You'll never meet a more generous fellow writer than Jeff Deaver, and he instantly lit up when I told him the story, and he said, I would love to read that book. Well, a lot of times, and I've experienced this, you send a book off to somebody asking for a blurb, an advanced kind of comment that you might be able to put on the cover, and you might wait a few months, which is typical. I would totally expect a few months. And I think it was about 2 weeks, I got this incredible email back with an amazing comment. Just excited, interested, and all on board. And here he is tonight. Total coincidence, total utter coincidence of the world. Tomorrow, Rocky Mountain Mystery Writers and Rocky Mountain Fiction Writers have teamed up, and we are offering to 75, a sold-out workshop tomorrow at the Renaissance Hotel up on Quebec Street, a very special 4-hour writing commercial fiction workshop from Jeff Deaver. You guys all need to know that Jeff does this gratis. He flies around the country on his own dime and gives back to the writing community and talks to up-and-coming writers about what it takes to write. He has been doing this. He was in Boston a couple weeks ago. He has told the national mystery writing community, if you'd like me to come to your chapter and talk and give this class for free, I will. So we have sold it out, but it's at a much discounted rate because somebody who could normally charge thousands of dollars for a 4 or 5 hour class, he won't even pick up, we can't even pick up his hotel. Tonight he offered to pick up the check before dinner, before the event tonight at dinner.
I didn't mean it though.
Now you tell me. Jeff Deaver is a former journalist, lawyer, a folk singer, writer, and finally a novelist. To date, he's written 35 novels, many New York Times bestsellers, sold 50 million books worldwide. His books have sold in 150 countries, translated into more than 25 languages. 3 of his novels have been produced into films. He's written 3 collections of short stories. The hook that inspired him to be a writer was Ian Fleming's From Russia with Love. He started writing novels during the long commute to and from his office on Wall Street, and in 1990 started writing full time. Jeff Deaver once said, one of the best things about being a novelist is the joy that comes from stepping into other people's shoes. So get a load of this. His main characters have been a 16-year-old African-American student, an elderly Asian immigrant, women, police snipers, and a quadriplegic. As if he isn't already prolific as a novelist, he has written the lyrics to a new country music album just recently released called XO, based on the title of one of his novels. The first song on the album is called Your Shadow, and he says it might be a love song or it might be a stalker song. Jeff is the current president of Mystery Writers of America, and I'm so thrilled to have Jeff here tonight. I can't be more excited.